How are you, mate?
Hello, Josh. It's good, isn't it?
This is my once a year,
Exactly.
Ekka, and
It's good, isn't it?
country race
Not
wear
bad.
as well.
Actually, that works too. Nice. Yeah, no worries. So, hey, all good to go. Audio level, David Crisafulli, testing 1, 2, 3. Tim Mander, testing 1, 2, 3. Really? Even better. All good to go? Good, thanks, Gordo. Just going to start with some comments about today, but more importantly about this event. This is a remarkable part of Queensland's history, and I can tell you what we've seen in the last few days is nothing short of spectacular. And there's been just a very good vibe, and I'm mindful that crowds are down a little, but this is an important year. In fact, I'd say this is the most important year in a century of tradition. This is the year that the Ekka has broken the shackles and has got back to business. And it was a very important year in the history of this event. Never before has 2 consecutive events been cancelled, and for crowds to come back and for exhibitors to get back into the habit of showing, for Queenslanders to get back into the habit of coming here, this will go back in and go down in history as a defining point in what is an historic event for this state. Before I talk about housing, which is why we're here, I want to make a comment on infrastructure, particularly relating to the Olympics. If we are to produce an Olympic Games that delivers infrastructure to make Queenslanders' life better for a generation, the squabbling has to stop and the power struggles have to end. The Games will only be a success if all levels of government are sitting around the table and that the focus is on making sure that lives are better for Queenslanders for a generation. This can't be about a vanity exercise for one person. It's got to be about delivering infrastructure for a generation. Queenslanders deserve to see a 20-year plan for infrastructure, for tourism. If we get that, well then the Games is just a midway point on the journey to making a better Queensland. It can't be about a one-month event of red carpet and glitz and glamour. It's got to be about 10 years of a pipeline to deliver infrastructure to make our lives better, and then 10 years after where we benefit from the best infrastructure delivery and the best set of eyes on this wonderful state. That's what the Olympics should be, not about a giant party for the rich and famous. And so it is that we talk about housing today, and as we have got around, and this is my 4th visit this week, there is a very strong view amongst Queenslanders that things have never been tougher for them to keep a roof over their head. And we will again ask the government to come forward with a detailed plan about delivering affordable, social and homes for people to get into the market. We want to see a Queensland where Queenslanders can afford to own their own home, rent a home, and where the most vulnerable are able to get a roof over their head through social and community housing. And at the moment, we're not seeing a plan from the government. And we are asking for the government to listen and to deliver a plan that Queenslanders can count on. Because right now, Queenslanders are falling through the cracks. And working Queenslanders, for the first time in a long time, are forced to wonder when a roof will no longer be above their head, and they are turning to living in their cars and in camper vans. And that is not good enough in a modern Queensland. And I'll ask Shadow Minister Mander to say some words.
Well, thanks, David. When it comes to social housing, this government is not listening and it's not delivering. Minister Leanne Enoch this morning showed that she's clearly out of her depth and she has no plan for the future. So there are no targets. She's rubbery about the number of people on the social housing waiting list, and we also know it'll take 25 years to spend the so-called $1 billion investment that they keep talking about. We currently have a waiting list the size of Gympie, and that is clearly unacceptable. And what Queenslanders are looking for when it comes to housing is solutions. It's not rhetoric. It's not trying to blame others, which is all we heard again this morning. The government needs to take responsibility, it needs to have a plan, and it needs to give reassurance to those vulnerable Queenslanders that this government can put a roof over their head. On housing?
Just quickly on the housing, the state government said it's delivered more than 4,000 homes in its term, and was touting that as a good figure.
Well, the state government keeps talking about its record, but its numbers speak for itself. So over the last 5 years, there's been a 70% increase in the number of people on the social housing waiting list, and there's been less than a 1% increase in the number of extra bedrooms being made available. Now, that's not my figures, that's the government's figures. It can tout all it wants about its construction. It blames everybody else for why these houses aren't being constructed, but in the meantime, the social housing waiting list blows out and the number of social houses being constructed is not keeping up with the demand.
Why do you think the government is releasing the number of people on the housing wait list and just telling us the number of households?
This government is trying to do everything possible to hide the real figure of the number of people on the social housing waiting list. They talked today about the figures, and the minister really struggled to give those figures. The only reason there's been any reduction in the social housing waiting list is that they culled 21% of the people off the list. We believe there's been a real increase of at least 10% in the last 12 months of those people on the social housing waiting list.
Do they give us the numbers specifically?
They do, and there is no way that they don't know those figures right now. They mentioned some figures during the estimates hearings. The minister said today that we've got to wait to the end of September. That's not helping those people at the moment that are sleeping in cars, sleeping in tents, sleeping roughly. These people deserve to know what is the plan for the future, and this government does not have a plan.
It's strange for them not to have social housing waitlist targets, and is it misleading to be telling the public that we're sticking to
This morning's press conference by Leanne Enoch showed that she has not listened to the Queensland Auditor's report, where the auditor criticised her about not having plans or targets for the future. If you don't have a target, if you haven't forecast how many houses you need to build, how do you know how many to build? That's the problem we have at the moment. And they are being misleading with regarding their investment. The minister keeps talking about these billion-dollar investments, and we know through the estimates hearing that it will take 25 years to spend the $1 billion that she keeps on talking about with regards to their investment in social housing.
The minister brought up the fact that she said that the federal government was, scrapping the Indigenous housing scheme. They weren't coming to the party. Is that true?
This minister and this government is good at blaming everybody else for their own responsibility. The state government is responsible for social housing. They have failed miserably over the last 7 years, and this minister is trying to do everything possible to evade her responsibilities.
Thanks, Tim. I just want to make one more point. Queenslanders deserve a plan, because right now we don't know who is on the list, who is wanting to get on the list, which Queenslanders are falling through the cracks, and what is their solution to getting young people into a home and the vulnerable Queenslanders a roof over their heads. And I don't think that's too much to ask, and we need to see goodwill across the board to deliver that.
Is it a bit odd when people are waiting for housing and here we are talking about Olympic venues and things like that?
We can have, in Queensland, if things are properly planned, we can have events and still have a roof over the most vulnerable's head. Unfortunately, the government doesn't have an agenda, it doesn't have priorities, and it doesn't know how to curb wasteful spending. So we just finished estimates, and we saw in a 2-week period, we revealed $3 billion in new waste that we didn't know about. That was on top of $1 billion in infrastructure blowouts on 2 projects on the Gold Coast alone. Queenslanders deserve to have a government that can properly plan, that can deliver things on time and on budget, and has the right priorities for Queensland. This government doesn't, and we will continue to expose their wasteful spending. Likewise, we will chart an alternate vision, and part of that is making sure that the Olympic Games aren't a vanity exercise, that it's not all about one big party, it's about delivering infrastructure that can make life better for over 5 million Queenslanders for a generation, not about a vanity exercise for one person for a 1-month party of red carpets.
These comments by Matt Powell about governments working better together. If you were in government, we might wait for the drums, but if you were in government, how would you show that you could work with a federal Labor government? Like, what would be the proactive steps you would take? Just when the drums go home.
They're very good, though. They need a seat at the table, and the Olympics are a long way away, and governments will come and go, but what won't change are the needs of the people they represent. So whether it's a blue government in Canberra, a red government, or whatever colour it is, every Queenslander wants to see their government work with them. Whatever the flavour of the local government, different regions, let's get around the table. This event will only be successful if politics is parked at the door and if everyone has a focus of delivering infrastructure to make lives better for everyone for a generation. And
Closing comments. Proof that there are problems with the levels of government right now?
Well, Mr Carroll's comments should ring alarm bells, and it shows that Queenslanders need to know that their government will treat this not as a vanity exercise, but as an opportunity to deliver infrastructure together. And I note with interest some of the comments from the mayors who have not been given a seat at the table already. The state government were very happy to use the mayors when they were lobbying for the bid, but it seems like they've been discarded to the side, now they're no longer needed. That's not my style, and that's not what Queenslanders want to see. All three levels of government need to be around the table, and the relentless focus needs to be on delivering infrastructure to make people's life better, not on a party of red carpets.
I think everything after the motorbike was lost on the
Next time, look at the program.
Righto, thank you all.
I'd like to wait for a break.
We've got luck. Thanks, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you rider number one. Now this man over here, he's an absolute legend. He was the first